What is up, guys? DT Ninja here for you guys my RuroKen Hokkaido arc, chapter 62 review. All right, guys, we're gonna get right into it. We are gonna be doing, the visual review with the pages. Now, there's a lot of text, and it took a lot of work, so that's why this review is coming at this time. Now, there is gonna be a new chapter, November 4th, so look forward to that, chapter 63. But I just put chapter 62, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, but anyway, you can check it out. Last week I posted it. I'll leave the link in the description. You can read it on my website, or you can download it on Google Drive. So let's get to it. Like I said, there's a lot of text, so we're going to do more visuals for this review. Now, I will explain some text, but for the most part, we're going to look at the visuals. So look at the house. This is Kenshin's house, the prairie house in Hakodate. Notice the destruction, just complete destruction outside the carriages of Yamagata. The soldiers are broken, the broken blades and guns, and they're just lying on the ground like they've been destroyed. This kind of could be a precursor to what will happen if they do not meet the demands of Kinkaku Heki, the offer that we're going to find out in this chapter. So anyways, pretty cool. The chapter is called Time Limit. All right, so Yamagata and, Kanzato Goto are face-to-face for this meeting in Kenshin's house. Very interesting stuff. One thing I noticed here is that he goes on to talk about how Itakura is a decoy. And he also mentions that Itakura is troublesome, which he is, but also that he is kind of not really doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing stuff on his own, which is what I kind of predicted, that he was going off on his own. He's fighting Kenshin. That's not what he's supposed to do. Getting Mount Hakodate, occupying that was really the only thing he was supposed to do. But it does beg the question, is Kanzato a little hesitant to fight Itakura? Because he did stop him. We saw that in the last chapter, but it does beg the question, Itakura is one of those characters that is very unpredictable. So he might be a little worried about Itakura, what he will do. But anyways, he goes on to say he's a perfect decoy. You can see Aran and Asahi kind of sighing relief that he didn't notice them. Kenji and Kaoru there, Kenji asleep. Then we get what he's actually asking for. And basically what it is a favor and service kind of thing. Favor and service to Meiji government. This goes back to the Kamakura period, where it was the feudalism. Basically, you have a favor which you can give something for that, and you can get something in return. So, for example, Kinkaku Heki can give military service, and for that military service or support, they can get land for it. So that goes back to the Kamakura period. I did like how they went, more in detail with the Mongol invasion and with the Kamakura and how they're, ancestors, and they go back to that. And that's why it's so focused on this kind of the favor and service kind of thing. But anyways, it basically boils down to this. They want to make Hokkaido one of the strongest. They want to make it the greatest stronghold for Japan. And the Kinkaku Heki will have kind of this fortress, a stronghold. In return, they will offer their military for support for the Meiji government. So basically, they'll be training warriors with the Meiji government support, but also the Meiji government will support them and giving them, resources and actually having a stronghold. So looking at Yamagata, he's like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Another thing I want to notice is the visual here. This is really badass. Just look at Kanzato, and he's putting his hands up. This is actually a kind of a precursor to him using his ability, which is when he claps his hands together. And you'll notice he has two here, which probably represents the two things, which is favor and service. But anyways, when he claps his hands together, that's when the shockwave, like of wind, goes flying, and that's his attack. So when he attacks, but I thought that was pretty cool. Like he has the same ability right in front of him, and he's basically kind of provoking Yamagata. I'm about to blow you out of here. If you don't, succumb to our demands. And so Yamagata's like, so did someone tell you that? Was it your parents or your elders, or was it this so-called Shokun? And so what Yamagata is getting at is he following orders? Is he really understanding the purpose of all this? And I do like the fact that we get to see like their family tree. We saw that a little bit when the kid of Itakura's group, Amachi, his ability was revealed. We did get to see a little bit there, but then you get Yamagata in a serious face. Basically, haven't you ever wondered it? Did it never well up from your very soul about this? And then, of course, he gets pissed off, and we see the Sekiriki start to form. The muscles are shown, and then he's like, "You dare mock us?" And then you can see, the concern. Everyone is really worried. The whole house is going to be, destroyed. Kenji wakes up at that moment. He's like, kill me. Are you going to kill me? Kill me. If you want to do it, just go ahead and kill me. And so he's like, if you kill me, another Yamagata is going to show up and take my place, and another one and another one. And he goes on to basically say Yamagata is not a person. He's not an individual. He's here. And he can be, everywhere and nowhere at the same time. He's the ultimate public servant. And so you see like all the collage in the background. That's pretty cool. But I do like how he mentioned all the warriors, like Katsura and Takasuki, Okubo, Saigo. Then you got Nakaoka, Sakamoto, then you have Kenshin, and also even Makoto Shishio were shown. And then it shows his resolve. I like that. I like how he stood up to him, like in the face of danger, and he was about to basically kill him, basically. He's provoking him. So they're kind of provoking each other. And so I like the fact that he stood his ground. We get to see Yamagata, in character. We see who he truly is. And he goes on to say, your resolve and from your ancestors could never compare to ours. And he calls them a scum. And of course, negotiations break down. Kenshin is there and he's worried. I do like Doi, how she explains that his name used to be Yamagata Kyosuke, which is interesting, and it fits his name because the character for madness is in it. And what's great is we actually see that madness surface as resolve in this chapter. So I thought that was really cool, kind of the symbolism and wordplay there, so that's pretty cool. Kenshin's really worried that Kanzato's gonna, kill his family. He's worried. He's like, wait. Then you got Ashitaro stepping up, and you see Ashitaro's like, let's finish this. Itakura's laughing. You can see him here, and he's like, I like that boy. Let's do this. And so, yeah, Ashitaro steps up, and of course, Sako, the mop head, is right in front of him. And then they face off. So this was pretty cool. Basically, they have their face off here. You get the Homoradama being released right here. And of course, his metal fan. At the last moment, though, it burns out. Homaratama burns out, which is a huge problem. And basically he's like, your flames are weak, just like you, kid. And then he breaks his shoulder. That's just nuts. Then you see this flashback of Asahi explaining how Sako is stronger than you. There's always someone stronger than you. And then he's like, you worthless piece of crap. He's like, go to hell, you worthless brat. And then Kenshin steps in and he goes all out against him, uses the Ryukansen Sumeji, which is one of those kind of variations of Hiten Mitsurugi of Ryukansen. That was pretty cool. And then at this moment, Kenshin is like, Ashitaro, are you all right? And all of a sudden, he just blacks out, and you see nothing but blackness. And then, of course, you see this flashback, and it's something he's thinking about, and it's something where he's talking about his resolve, how he's going to fight till the very end. And then you see how his heart and sword is the answer that he's found to his struggling life. This is actually something he uses in the fight against Enishi. So he's reflecting on that, and he's like, huh? What is this? And then he hears Megumi's voice talking about how he's going to lose the Hiten Mitsurugi style in 4 to 5 years. Right now, he can heal his body, and he's like, oh, that's right. And then all of a sudden, he sees this moment where he drops the sword, and then he's like, we're not going to be together for very long, Sakabato. Please serve this one well. And then at this moment, you see the blood coming from his scar. Really kind of a sad moment. He's like, at last, finally, this is the end, huh? So you see this really, really emotional and sad moment where Kenshin is being erased from the family photograph. And obviously Kaoru and Kenji are something that he does not want to lose. But it just shows that he is almost accepting his death here. It seems like he's at the end. And you can see the blood here and the lifeless eyes. This was really, really sad. And then, of course, everybody's in shock. Everybody. And then the next page, you have this scene where Kenshin is collapsing on the battlefield. The blood is coming out. And then you got Sano basically yelling at Kenshin. You see Ashitaro in shock. And even Itakura's like, Batosai! And you can see him letting go of the sword. This is very serious situation. It's also kind of symbolic because Kenshin, being a swordsman, is everything, and letting go of that sword is like losing his life. Like, as he said, he's gonna fight to the very end before. Then you see someone in a trench coat show up, catch Kenshin at the last moment before he collapses. Everyone is like, what the hell? And of course, Kanzato knows exactly who it is, and he says, so you finally came. Aoshi Shinamori, Okashira of the Oniwaban group. And then Kenshin is barely holding on to his sword. So yeah, this was a very interesting chapter. Just looking back at the chapter, Kenshin is one of the focal points, obviously. The emotional kind of reflection and his collapse, kind of looking back on everything. He really did look like he was about to die. But honestly, I think this is maybe him accepting that he has limitations, and all this time he really wasn't. I mean, he knew he had limitations, but I think it's real now because his body is reacting. So I did like the symbolism, the blood coming from the scar. We got the flashbacks from Megumi and Enishi. That was cool. Even Sakabato. Ashitaro getting his shoulder broken was also surprising. This is the third character in Hokkaido that got their limbs broken. But this is a serious one because Ashitaro can no longer wield the Mugenjin because it's rejecting him. So this could be something. He's relying too much on Shishio's power. So now we're going to get development, I think, moving forward for Ashitaro. Maybe Kenshin and him are going to have a heart-to-heart. Both of them, kind of collapsed in this chapter, and they're going to come back stronger. Now, I do think Kenshin's going to have limitations, but I do think Ashitaro will have this kind of struggle within whether or not to use the Mugenjin or try to learn his own strength. Maybe even later on, Kenshin is going to give the Sakabato possibly to Ashitaro, and to be able to protect his comrades, his friends. But anyways, those were the two characters they focused on. Obviously, Yamagata also really, really interesting chapter. I did like his resolve. So anyways, that's pretty much it. In the next chapter, I think we're going to get kind of a transition back to kind of a peaceful, people are going to heal, a healing period. Maybe we're going to get some Saito and what he's up to, so I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, Misao, I think, is already at the Hakodate Prairie House with Kaoru, so that should be interesting. I'm looking forward to Asahi and Misao's first interaction. That should be interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.